Hey, Nathen Daniel here. I just wanted to do a video that I've thought about doing for quite a while now, and for whatever reason I haven't. And that's my coming out story. I don't know why, but it seems like once you get established on YouTube, that's something that you should do. It lets you know more about me, but hopefully it helps someone out there and somebody can relate. So, yeah, let's just jump right in. All through high school, I didn't come out. I dated a couple girls, nothing serious at all. And then I think it was probably all of my 11th and 12th grade year, I was single. And I remember adults, like my dad's friends, would ask me uh, why I didn't have a girlfriend or if I had a girlfriend. And I'd always just say that they weren't worth the trouble. And at that point, I had, I knew at that point that I didn't want to be with a woman and that I was gay. I think I probably realized that. I should have realized that in 10th grade, but I admitted it to myself sometime around my senior year. And then I graduated. I went to a local business college. That's my ferret. A local business college for a term, and then it was Halloween of I think 2013. So about a year after I graduated, and I started hanging out with Riker again, and and he was staying with one of our good friends. They're actually one of the girls I dated, and her girlfriend. He was staying with them. He was waiting for an apartment to open up, and I started. It was a couple days before Halloween, and I started actually staying the night there with him every night. And so Halloween came, and I think that was really the point where we decided that we wanted to try to do something. And so a couple weeks later, it was 10 days later, we actually started dating. And at that point, I would still call my dad because I lived with my dad. And I would call him almost every day, and I'd let him know that I wasn't coming home, and I was a good kid like that. And I remember there was a point where I don't know it. Maybe I took a day or two. I didn't call him, and then I called him, and it kind of hurt because, very matter of factly, he was like, "So should I just assume that you're not coming home?" And I think that both of us realized at the same time that I was moving out, and it wasn't anything that I had planned at all. It just kind of happened. And so there wasn't any time for either of us to really prepare or think about it, anything like that. And because of that, I wish I might have done that differently. But I kept staying there. That was in November. The apartment didn't open up until December 1st. So we stayed for about a month. And a couple weeks after that phone call, my dad called. I talked to my dad on the phone, and Riker was actually sitting next to me on the couch. And my dad said, "So what's up? What's the deal? Is it a girl?" Well, it wasn't. So I said no. And Then he did something that I didn't expect at all. He said, "Then is it a guy?" And it caught me off guard, but uh, the good part of me must have known that now was the time. I wasn't going to lie about it. I was going to be open about it. So I said, yeah. The phone call ended rather abruptly after that. Uh, Nothing bad was said at all. And so that's how I came out to my dad. Then we were out to everybody we were staying with, and all of their friends that would come over. That was easy. They were accepting. They were two girls living as a couple. They were together, so that was easy to come out to them. Especially since we had that history, we had dated before, and so both of us kind of knew where each other were at. He's gonna be annoying. Sorry. And so on December 1st of that year, we moved into an apartment together with two other people, and we were then out to all of their friends that would come over. I never had friends over. I didn't have my friends over. And I didn't come out to any of my friends. I didn't tell them that I was in a relationship. It actually took another year. And after a year, we were talking, and we decided that for our anniversary, we were going to post our relationship status on Facebook. Both of us changed our relationship status at the same time, and then I think Facebook sent each of us like a message to confirm it or accept it or something. And so we did. But then what we did is we checked the box so it didn't send out notifications to everybody. So it was on there if you looked, but it didn't send a notification to all our friends. It didn't show up on our timeline or in other people's news feeds. So it was a really quiet way for us to make sure each other knew that we were serious. I mean, it had already been a year. And so a couple weeks later, I don't really know how long it was later, it was shortly after that. One of my best friends from school, from high school, messaged me, and she goes, "So I have a question to ask you." And I go, "Okay, what is it?" She goes, "Well, I saw something on Facebook." And that's when I realized I was now coming out to my best friend. And she goes, I can't remember exactly how the conversation goes. It didn't get into detail at all. Basically, what I did was say, yeah, that's what it is. It's not a joke. That's what we're doing for the last year. And she didn't say anything about it, but she was super supportive. She's one of the most wonderful people I know. Brianna, if you're watching this, you're my best friend, and you'll always be my best friend. I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner. And that's one regret I have, is not letting myself admit to myself who I am, but then secondly, not telling anybody else who I am, not being myself around other people. And so after that, it happened fairly quickly. Not really anybody else asked, but other people knew. People might have seen it on Facebook. I think that my friend probably mentioned it to some of our close friends. And At that point, we had moved into because we only stayed at that apartment for 6 months. So by that time, we had already been living together in an apartment on our own for 6 months. So after that happened, we were able to start having friends over because we weren't hiding ourselves or what we were. And so we started having friends over and actually being happy. My family all knew fairly soon. It wasn't that Christmas, the first Christmas we were together. It was the second Christmas. Uh, my grandma knew that I was living with Riker. I don't know if at that point she knew that we were together, but she invited him to Christmas, and he came to Christmas. And we've spent every Christmas together since. From that first Christmas, uh, everybody that went figured it out. It was pretty easy. We weren't blatantly obvious. We don't like get physical in front of people, but you bring somebody to Christmas dinner, it's obvious. So all my family knew shortly after we posted it on Facebook because that would have been in November. And I think that for me, that was the best way to do it. I wish I wouldn't have waited so long, but that was the best way to do it because I didn't have to have that anxiety over and over of coming out to everybody. And all of my family has been really supportive. My two sisters knew uh, before we even moved into our first apartment. They knew within the first month. Uh, my one sister, and here's something that people should know, I think. My one sister, when I was younger, asked me if I was gay. I said, no, no, I'm not. And I kind of laughed. And then when I came out to her, she said something to the lines of, I effing knew it, I told you so. If somebody's coming out to you, don't do that. Um, it makes what you're doing less special. If somebody's coming out to you, that's because they trust you, they care about you, and especially at first, when they're first coming out, they trust you, they care about you, and they're sharing a part of themselves with you. Don't do that. And also, if you ask somebody if they're gay and they say no, either they're not ready to come out to you yet, or maybe they haven't come out to themselves yet. I know at the point that my sister asked, it sounds silly, but I had been with a guy before, but I still wasn't gay. I don't know, the mind works weird, but I wasn't gay. I We were just friends and I was using him as a release. In my head, that's how I rationalized it because I couldn't be gay. And I think that's something a number of people go through. But yeah, so that's my coming out story. It's not super exciting, but we did live a year in secrecy. um, so yeah, my dad still pretends it's not a thing. We don't talk about it in front of him, around him. When I bring up Riker, he's my roommate, and yeah, he's not. It's just a different time that he grew up in, and I know that people say that's not an excuse, but I don't blame him. Never once have I felt that he didn't love me. I know that he's my biggest supporter, and nothing would ever change that. It's just not something he ever thought that he would have to know how to handle, so he doesn't know how. So yeah. This is definitely a longer video, but hopefully it helped you, it helps somebody. Let me know in the comments below if you have a coming out story or experience, or if you have one similar to me. And I'd like to thank you guys so much for watching. Remember, if you like this video, you should like and subscribe. And you can always follow me on social media. On Twitter, I'm Nathen Daniel. On Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, I just got a Musical.ly, and that's kind of fun. And I'm on all of those, I'm Nathen Daniel 03. So if you search Nathen Daniel 03, you'll find me somewhere. And again, I'd like to thank you again for watching. And remember, until next time, be loud, be heard, but most importantly, be yourself. See ya. Really, they probably won't ever watch this, but I would really just like to thank them for pushing me to be the best version of myself every single time they post a video.